Hi, I'm Claudine, or Claudia, Queen Italian.
And I'm Tom, and thanks to Italian real estate lawyers, we've realized our dream of moving to Italy.
Wow, there's so many memories. So I'm French originally, so Italy has always been a country very close to my home country before I actually moved to the US. But Tom and I have been going to Italy on vacation for many, many years. We went to a beautiful wedding in Firenze, not, 20 years ago, something like that. And we've been coming back to Italy every other year. We've done the Lake District, we've done Cinque Terre. We spent a month in Rome in November of last year, and that's really what sealed the deal. We've been talking about moving back to Europe now that we are retired. And at first it was more like France because that's where I'm from. And then after a month in Rome and absolutely loving it, we decided, why not Italy? And also I had been learning Italian for a while, so it just seemed like everything was coming together and it clicked.
I'm a big history buff, and that's something we don't have a lot of in the United States. So it's a very short history. And I first came to Italy 40 years ago, something like this, and fell in love with the country and the history. And I always had a dream of living in Europe and being able to retire in Europe. And Italy, has everything that we love: the history, the geography, the architecture, the food, the wine, and Tuscany's at the center of it all. It's right in the middle of Italy, and it's so easy to get around from here, and the people are so nice. We've had such great experiences here that it really made us feel comfortable in making this, life-changing decision to leave everything behind in the US and move to Italy permanently.
We were looking for an old house, for sure, but had been restorated. A house that was close to a town because, we are not all that young anymore. So we just wanted to be sure that we would be close to people, close to, medical facilities and things like that. That was really important to us. And what made this house completely unique is that, first of all, it had been restored top to bottom, and it's close to a town. So for us, it was really unique. And it had great access to the internet, which we've been told is very hard. A lot of homes that are in the hills are perfect for people who go there for 3 months. But we were going to be here for, forever, every day. So it was important to really have good internet and good stores, being able to be part of a community, not just come here for 3 months and then leave and go back to the US. And that really was absolutely unique to this house.
So from the beginning of our interactions with ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com, we worked with Linda, and she was just absolutely critical throughout the whole process, including closing remotely the deal, for us. We were actually back in the US when we closed the deal. And she took us through the whole process of how to structure our proposal, how to work through contingencies, get inspections done, just explain the legal process. And there were some things that did come up, and always in any real estate transactions, particularly one in a foreign country, there are things that crop up that you were unaware of, and we had a similar case. And thanks to the intervention of Linda and Fabrizio and legal involvement with the team, we're able to work through the issue successfully and close the property. So it's vital, I think, to have that type of representation when you're doing something, this big, and you've already sold your properties in the US and you're essentially homeless. I'm standing now in some of the olive trees on the property. We have a couple hundred olive trees, and we harvested some of them last week for our very, very first harvest. You can see this one is devoid of olives and it's turned into that beautiful olive oil that you saw in the kitchen. It's just fantastic. But it's just a beautiful place to be, to pick olives, to enjoy the scenery, and to just, breathe the air of Tuscany.
One dream I always had was to have a vegetable garden, and finally here we actually had two, one for the summer and now we have one for the winter with finocchio, fennel, onions and kale and a whole bunch of other cabbages that I've never even heard of, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's actually done. So super exciting, learning the art of growing things organically.
I think one of the most important things was finding something that was private. So you had, some land around the house so you could have some privacy, but it wasn't isolated. You weren't on a hilltop, far away from some town or some, part of civilization. Good internet access, good heating and cooling, all of that was important to find. And it was a fairly difficult process, but we found this house fairly early on. And we kept looking and never really quite found anything that clicked the way that this did for us. So when we made the decision that we would like to look into moving to Italy full time, there were a lot of questions that we wanted to get answered before we made that decision. And we'd found this house and we really loved it, but we didn't understand, how the taxes work, how the purchase process works. There were just a lot of questions that we had. So I started doing some research on the internet and started watching some videos on YouTube, including the podcast with Rafael and Marco Permunian. And I learned a lot about the purchase process, about immigration processes, because we had to factor that into this. We weren't just buying a house, but we're trying to figure out how to legally move to Italy and become permanent residents there. And the podcast was super helpful in explaining all of that in a lot of detail. And so based on that, we were looking at the website to better understand the purchase process, and the website for ItalianRealEstateLawyers.com explains the whole purchase process in a lot of detail. And then we read a lot of the reviews that were on Google for the company, and they were very positive. So based on that, we decided to go ahead and submit a form on the site, just ask some questions about the process, and we got a response, the next day. I think it promised 24-hour response, and they stuck to that, and it just took off from there.
Every day we'd have 3-4 emails to look forward to every morning when we'd get up. And that made our day because we felt really connected and people were handling us and were taking care of us and we were not alone. That was wonderful.
One of the things we didn't really realize when we were purchasing the property in Italy was the challenge of the post-sales process of transferring utilities such as gas, electricity, internet service. And for that, Georgiana was absolutely crucial. We spent a lot of time, going through all of those issues with her, and by the time we arrived, everything was working. There was no gap in transition. We had internet access, we had heat, we had everything that we needed. So it was really a soup to nuts kind of transaction, as we call it.
Another very important member of the team was Benedetta. Immigration was obviously not a small issue, so me being French was a little easier to move to Italy, but for Tom as an American, the process is a lot more challenging. And Benedetta was on the phone with the local authorities just about every day, and yeah, I'm eternally grateful. The weather, being able to eat outside every day, breakfast, lunch and dinner for just about 4 months, for me is surreal. I still can't quite believe it. Waking up in the morning, looking throughout the window and just seeing the hills of Tuscany is refreshing. It's just beautiful and I just feel so extremely lucky to be here.
So you get up in the morning and you've got this beautiful view, you've got wonderful people, the people that we've met in the area have been so nice to us. It's just revitalizing from a life perspective. So we're absolutely delighted to be here and don't look back at all in terms of what we left behind. So looking back at this last year, it's been a major year of transition and we really couldn't have done it at least successfully the way it's turned out, without the help of Italian real estate lawyers, and with Linda in particular, and with the whole team, with Marco and Fabrizio. It's just been an amazing, they're a world-class organization. The quality of the service rivals what we're used to in the US, and certainly surpasses a lot of what we've experienced with some of the local merchants in Italy. So they've been just amazing to work through all of these details that were completely foreign to us. And the value that you get for the amount of money you spend is well worth it. For the peace of mind, for the assurance that you're not going to lose the house, that everything's going to be set up properly, was the best investment that we've made probably in this whole process. So highly recommend their services.
Buying a house from the United States in Italy is daunting. You don't know the process, you don't even know what you don't know. You have to have some assistance, and we've had the best assistance that we could ask for as far as we're concerned. So we're very happy.